Hey everybody, it's Phony here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm rambling about the floating Knobs Cuisine. It is a Eurorack or MIDI sequencer. It is a desktop one over USB-C, or it is rack mountable at 38 HP. Today we're going to be doing the former with the USB power from my Eurorack, but I am going to drive my Eurorack and not MIDI. So there's lots to talk about here. Let's get the quick housekeeping out of the way. I'm not affiliated with Floating Knobs. However, I did reach out to them directly to ask them if I could borrow this because I'm really interested in Eurorack sequencers and I've tried so many of them. And they said, sure, if you want to borrow it for a video, you can. Just send us the payment to ship it to you and then send it back to us thereafter. So they sent it to me from where they're based in Germany, and here we are. I've been trying to explore it over the last couple of days, and I think it's time to share some of that exploration with you now. So with all that being said, it sounds like this. Okay, Floating Knobs Cuisine. Let's patch this up. In its default configuration, there is, these are all swappable, but in its default configuration, there's 4 key tracks, which are CV gate pairs for like melodies, and 4 drum tracks, which are just gates for drums. So we're going to drive that here in its default configuration, and then I will hopefully show some of the swapping of tracks, and we'll go from there. So patching in the last 4. It's kind of funny, they like the outputs don't fit all on one row, so, or the gate outputs don't all fit on one row, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 that wrap around as shown by a little loopy graphic on the corner. It's just kind of funny. It doesn't affect it in any way. It's fine. But I'll show you quick what we're driving here. We have track, that would be track 5 on the sequencer, driving the Ultra Kick, then track 6 on the sequencer, driving the Entity, and then 7 and 8 are the open and closed hats on the Archer's rig. So jumping back into this one, I do want to talk quick about the build quality and stuff like that. It shouldn't matter, but I will try and relate it to how it works with the workflow and stuff. These keys feel really nice. I know that was like one of my instant gripes with the Ericsson's black drum sequencer, that the keys felt really crappy. These feel, they're not mechanical, I don't think, but they're definitely a step up from those Ericsson's ones. Just if you've had experience with any similar sequencer key style ones, that these aren't like cherry reds or anything like that, but they feel nice. They do have these upside down arrows that, you know, show through. Interesting. It's nice. It does make it in my specific angle. It does make it a lot easier to see because I'm kind of doing this today and they are facing me, so that's appreciated. This is like PCB panel. I don't know if you've like the Bastel Soft Pop is similar. It's this sort of like looks kind of like semi-transparent in the middle. It's like I believe that's called PCB. If you know what this specifically is called, it is like that. But I think you have to remove the back to get at the rack mounting, to get at the Eurorack power connector, which I won't be doing because this has to go back to them. I want to keep it as stock as possible, keep it as intact and unmangled. So that being said, there is 4 dedicated gate in tracks, and I don't think I'm going to explore much of that today. I know that you can do like interesting resets and like probability and stuff over them, but for me, like, I know like there's a workflow thing where maybe you have like a clip launcher or a bigger sequencer and like, I don't know, the Hermod what's it called? The Hapax, the big clip launching sequencer, and maybe your Eurorack drums are one section of that. But for me, I kind of want my sequencers to drive everything else. I don't want them to be, driven elsewhere. So we're probably not going to explore anything outside of the internal clocking today, and that's just fine. There's this huge endless encoder on here. Looks very guitar pedally. However, I found it wasn't really used too much in this firmware anyway. Maybe it'll become more apparent as we explore deeper today. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I am a devout screen fanatic when it comes to Eurorack, and I just feel like this thing is begging for, there's so much real estate here for a screen that is just I wish they used the screen, because we'll talk about ways that they get around it, and I will say first thing off the bat, if you were jumping into this right away, that I had issues with, or I struggled with, or confused me, I should say, the patterns and the tracks are independent. The Cuisine allows for more techno independent pattern, not chaining, but independent pattern control by allowing you to change patterns at the track level. But when I first started out, I was like, why isn't the pattern changing? So if I'm standing on track 1, I hit play, and then I hold pattern, and I'll go to the second pattern. Okay, why didn't it change? I'll try the 5th pattern. Why didn't it change? Well, the reason is because it uses the pattern groups. So at the bottom, there is a pattern group here, which will highlight all of them, or this one, which is some of them, just like more performance tools, right? And I don't have gripes with that. I just want you to know out the gate that this is kind of the architecture of the floating knobs that wasn't clear to me by reading the knob manuals. So right now we're on the first one. We'll hold pattern. We have our pattern group selected, and then we'll go to the second one. And now it's blank because we moved all of the tracks over to the second pattern as a group. But if you wanted to, you could not move all of these other ones and just move track 5 to pattern 1. No, it was part of a group. Anyway, that is a bit of a workflow quirk that I had to get over. What we want to do to get started is to put everybody onto track 2, pattern 2, all the tracks onto pattern 2, and then enter some key trigs. So what I'm going to do is, first, you'll notice that here we are selected on track 5, which is my kick. I'm going to do some simple entering by hitting edit, and now it is blank because we have no triggers. We're going to enter for on the floor and hit play. And then I will jump into track 6. I'll enter some snares. And then we'll go into track 7, enter our hats. I believe this is the open. So I just need to do a little hair of a mixing. And then track 8, I have my closed hat, and I just want to enter some stuff there. Yeah. So that's like the basic workflow of the drum sequencer. Now, I want to extend this, but there's a couple different ways you can do that, and there's loop, where you can see right now I am looping, but I'm looping the whole thing. If I want to think about this like last step, I believe if I move this, right? And there was a way to reverse this as well, but if we do a different track, let's do this to my kick. Maybe I'll loop an odd number of steps. Right? Or I'll reverse it by putting the ending after the beginning, right? So you see it's moving in reverse now. I'm sorry. Now it's moving in reverse. If I hit shift, yeah. Does the endless encoder do anything here? No. And that's going to be a reoccurring theme with this one. I always think it's kind of interesting that the endless encoder doesn't seem to be many places, but okay, I think the workflow here is that you draw it in. So I select my start and then I hold it and select the end. So now we're going to run in reverse because this starts after the beginning, which is fine. But if we want to do an odd, there's like a way to do fills through our looping mode, right? Just an interesting thing. There's also clock division. And a lot of this stuff is accessed by double tapping, which isn't the case for this one. Let's go back to track. And yeah, okay, so endless encoder doing something here. If you hold this division, the slash asterisk, you can increase our clock divisions or decrease them. No, other way around, but you get my drift. Less divisions left, more divisions right. We'll show you some other things here on the drum front if we want to make the pattern longer. One, edit, we have steps. If I want to make this longer, I'll enter some triggers on the other page just to demonstrate that it is being extended, but obviously it's not right now because if we go back to the first one, it's restarting there. If I do shift in page, yeah, then it's going to extend. If I do edit, notice this was done on a per track basis, and I'm not sure if there's a way, if you want to do that on every page. I think this is just very techno-oriented in that everything is very independent, because like I feel like the workflow is just like they talk about being able to do it with one hand. I feel like that is very they just want to make every track as its own thing, and you can stretch it out in a performance way to its maximum. You might really like that, you might really dislike that. I just want to throw that out on the table because yeah, I feel like that will definitely be something that really clicks or really doesn't click with you. So we'll go to yeah. So that's how you extend it. I'm going to leave my stuff at uneven pages just because I don't think I need all of that variation in my hi-hat triggers. It can loop around just fine on its own. But what we do want to do now is adjust the tempo. A good way to demonstrate one of the things that I really wish a screen was here for is that the tempo is done by hitting shift twice. So you have to remember that. And it's kind of like, I don't know, yes, that will definitely become muscle memory, but this is just like I wish there was a screen workflow for me, because as you turn it to the right, the tempo increases, but you don't get to see a BPM in a number. Instead, you get this array of dancing lights on the screen, and I believe this is binary, which if you're here, although I think binary with color codings too, if you're here, you've probably experienced this in some other modules where they only have certain LEDs that indicate exponential numbers and stuff. So you could add up, say, this first column has green, that means it's 100, and then this one has green, so that means it's 2, and then these are 4 oranges. I don't actually know the specifics of that here, but again, it's just like if you had a screen, you could see the number. I am out here preaching the gospel of screens, but it's just fine for, I just like the jammability of this one. You just pick it up, extend it. Right? Speed it up, slow it down. And again, if this is my master clock too, like I want to jam something in. So speaking of jamming something in, we did step recording, right? That's just fine and dandy. I want to go into my kick track, which is on 5, and I want to try some live recording. So I'll go to edit, we can see our triggers, and I want to clear this one. And again, let's try and remember how to clear. Hold shift and clear. And just a little animation, and now it's empty. But what you can do is go to keys, and now I believe this means velocity. And yeah, so we'll play. And then in our transport section, there's a record here. So once you enable record, I can throw in some triggers. Yeah. And this is kind of where I want to be. The only thing though is I don't think there's a way to multi-track live record. And I think you can do that with MIDI in or gates in, but I don't know if there's a way to finger drum it in. And if there is, do let me know in the comments, but I at least haven't been able to find it yet. But it is kind of fun to go step by step and punch some stuff in. I know there's also a performance mode as well that allows for sort of live mangling through live performance of these things, but I think we should just get through the basics first today. And part of that, I will say, is definitely doing a melodic track. So in track 1, we will go in here. There's another thing with this in the keys section that will show us a couple different things. And again, the gospel of screens. I'm out here preaching once again on its behalf because I would like to remember these things without consulting the manual, but here we're going to go. I plug my CV out of CV1 in and my gate out of track 1, and we'll go into keys. Now I want to double tap this one. No, I want to extend this. Yeah, all the way. So hold shift and add page to extend it or shorten it. So we'll give ourselves the full 4 pages. And now, make sure I have this mixed in. So I have an octave switch on the oscillator that this is controlling, but there's octave switch on the bottom here. So left is octave down, right is octave up, right? And then yeah. So you can live record or manually punch these in. I'll just do a little bit of both for demonstration of this here. Let's go recordings enabled. Wait for the 1. And then this should come around. Yeah. So if I go into edit now, and I'll scroll through my pages, I'm going to enter some manual trigs as well. I'll just pause this for a second. I'll enter 2 in here. And I should just, I guess for context, I'm using the Pony VCO, which is a super straight up analog oscillator. And then that is going into a Javelin, the envelope VCA, just to give you some context for that. I will swing this over here quick. Screw it. We'll show volt per octave out of here into the Pony, and then the gate is going into trigger the Javelin, which is, yeah, down the chain from there. It's not very exciting, but I did want to give you some context for what's going on. So now I entered these triggers manually. If I hold these down, it's going to jump over to that same key page, and I can enter pitches for that step. And then this one, oops, I'll do that so we can go through here. And if you know of a way to latch the screen so that it follows the pages, if that makes sense, or the pages auto cycle where the playhead is at, you let me know, because I was looking for that as well. If I play, I'm gonna just change the octave on the oscillator side. I know this is very exciting, but I want to add some other ones just to demonstrate the 2 workflows, right? So we'll enter these here. Adjust my filter a bit. Yeah, I know, it's the most boring melody ever, but I just wanted to show you the workflow of it on that side, because I feel like the needing to use two separate sequencers to do the melodies and the drums is kind of a deal breaker for me, which Floating Knobs thankfully is able to do both on the Cuisine. So I will show you now that we have a really goofy, boring loop. Maybe let's hold on. Let's just patch up a couple. Just a hair more interesting. Okay, we don't love that one. So how do I mute it? Well, if I go into mute groups, I can mute everything. So if you remember from our pattern page, there was some sort of, there's some shared workflow here. There's mute group. So if I hold down one, I only want to mute track one and everything else can be unmuted. Let's hit play and let off my other mute groups. So this first mute group, which is enabled in yellow, is only selecting track one. If I unmute it, you can only hear that. If I do a second, like this is all very performance oriented, right? If I want to just take my kick out, right? Bring out my kick, the second mute group, only have that one on it, mute that. Put my ugly melody on it again. Yeah, that is the basic workflow. So I hated that melody, and I'm going to unpatch it for simplicity for the rest of this pattern. But I did want to show you how the keys work, because, you know, the melody can also apply to your drums if you're using it for drums. But enable or disable our mute groups. This is a little slow. Let's speed it up. And let's go into a different pattern. The other thing, I think the tempo, yeah, the tempo is independent from the patterns, which is an interesting thing as well. Just keep that in mind. Like I don't think you could use, like if you were doing a set, you'd have to manually set the tempo in that way, right? Unless there's an option in the settings that I missed. Let me know if that is the case, but let's hit play. All right, start a new one. Let's get in here, let pause. We'll go into, actually I wonder, okay, so from the pattern screen, if I hit shift, can I extend the length of everybody? I think I can, because that would be super useful. Going track by track is kind of a pain. Let's go to my kick track. Let's enter 4 on the floor, just because, oops, what am I doing? I am not on the edit screen. Okay, is there a mute group? Yes, there is. On the third pattern, we go to track. We are on the 4th track. Edit. Draw in our steps. No, it didn't extend the pages. Never mind. If there's a way to extend them all at the same time, please let me know. That'd be sweet. We'll go into the other ones. I'm just going to do 4 on the floor across the board, and then we'll throw in some extra triggers through live recording. So let's do that. I'm not entirely clear on how quantized these will or will not be, but we'll have to jam it, so let's jam it. And we'll bring in our snare. Maybe I'll make my ultra kick just a little heavier and a little shorter. Yeah, that's nice. I'll go into my snare track. And you know what, snares probably don't need more than one page, so we'll just go into our edit on the 1. And I gotta do a little sound design, sorry. Yeah. I know it's a weird snare, but I kind of like weird snares. Let's go in, we'll do open hat on the... No, let's do open hat on the offbeats. Let's pick a different hat just so y'all don't get bored. Kind of sounds like a shaker. Sorry, I'm preset surfing, but sometimes when we want to talk about a sequencer, we don't want to do all sound design. Yeah, so that's the open. Let's get into the closed. I like busy hats, and lots of people complain about that in my videos. Filter sweep. Nothing to do with the cuisine, but I just like it. Let's add some reverb. Because of how the recording setup has changed, we can do reverb not on my voice. Awesome. Now, if we jam this, can I show you some mute group action? Sure. There's lots of things to show, but maybe let's start with mute groups. We'll do mute group 1. We'll just mute the kick. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe we'll just say mute 1 mutes the kick. No, that's not the kick. Kick is on a different track. Mute group 1. We want to bring the kick in. So I'm going to do a little bit of a filter sweep on the overseer. Move this up so you can see. Bring in my kick in a moment here. Bring it in. That's the drop. And so we'll get in now with our kick track. We'll change just its pattern, and I'll record in some kicks on that now. So this is the benefit of having separate separate patterns per track. I'm even confused talking about it. Let's do it. Yeah, sorry I screwed that up, but we'll just make it super busy because I like it. Back to the other one. The segmenting of it actually is like really fun. Do a new one. I didn't time that right, but if I did. Let's do shift and page to make it way longer. We'll wait for the 1. And I think these are actually different velocities if I had the CV output, which I'm not using right now, but either way, I'm just using it as a way to have more control. Live recording too, you can just, make your track more busy in a live performance setting, kind of like what I'm doing right now would be fun, right? I think I screwed this one up pretty bad. Let's go back to the other one for that reason. Because I do like this one. I will say, I wish I had a fill button or a roll button. Because I wish this could just go roll, right? So, with all this being said, I do want to split this up into 2 or possibly 3 videos because there is the modulation settings that we're already way over time on that I want to talk about. I want to talk about this performance setting and how it works because I need to do some more time to explore it in depth. But yeah, it's fun to get into this one immediately, and it's fun to just let a techno beat roll and dissect it, split it, tear it apart, pull it into all the different pieces. So I think we'll finish this video by doing just that. So yeah, we'll be doing a more rambling about the cuisine for sure. We're just scratching the surface. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.